What up, though? My name is Slade. I hope everybody's having a sensational one. Hopefully, I'm not blasting your eardrums with anything unnecessary. I mean, because how unattractive is that, right? Today we're having a chatty again with my brother, called Crrll. We're gonna be having quite the chatty, directly here on this page, man. This is dedicated to people who either want to get into DJing or production, and maybe they're just looking for maybe an entryway or maybe some additional information. So the more you guys comment, the more comments that are left, and we can kind of bring together, man. The better the content is for everybody. And so that's what this is all about. Nothing too crazy, man. We're just trying to spread this good gospel of making music along. Um while we wait for the homie Crrll to, to join the stream, here we go. Boom. Now you're seeing the inner workings. Gotta admit the man's. While we get him set up and, ready to go ski woski. There's something that's very, 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 very slept on in the Ableton world, period. It's one of my favorite things. It's one of the things that I don't know if it gets enough love and or credit. But one of my good homies put me onto this boy right here, Impulse. Impulse happens to be really slept on for me. It's really great for one shots. I haven't necessarily tried anything that's like longer samples and putting them in here. It'd probably be something good for me to do on my own time before I present it to the rest of the world, because that would be freaking gross. But one of my major gripes about, and the reason I've actually used Maschine with Ableton, is that normally I'll end up like the drums just won't hit hard out the gate. You always kind of have to like cut off the velocity or make the velocity a little bit more dynamic or whatever the case may be. But this right here, if you're looking to have independent controls of your drums, and what's tight is that these only work, this is all C major. This starts, I believe, at like C5, and you just go straight across. It's love. If you haven't tried it, I think what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to record it, and then Wednesday it'll probably be up. I just want to go a little bit more in depth on Impulse. But if you've never done it, I strongly, as a matter of fact, if you're extra down for it, I ask you this. If you have any questions after you've tried Impulse, give it a go. Give it a go. Come holler at me. But let me just show you this one thing that was kind of on my, kind of on my bird, kind of on my brain. Let's just take one of these kicks or something. There we go. Yeah, man, come through with it. With that young fiery kick. Let's see if y'all can hear that. All right, y'all can hear that. Cool. So we got that right there. Let me see. Where we at? Gotta find my kick, man. This is crazy. Oh, it's because I didn't hit the record button. Goofy. Let's see where we at. Damn, son. Damn. Wow, it's really gonna do this right now? That's unattractive. The fuck? Hold on, man. Right out the gate. There we go. We'll just kind of bypass the bullshit. Right out the gate. Beating like a fool. Patch this down. And I just want to shorten it. You can do that with the stretch. So you not only can actually time, you know what I mean? You can time stretch and make it sound crazy, and that'll give you a whole different level of sound design and all that good stuff. But I got a special guest, a guest that, doesn't really require an intro, being that, you know, you already know who he is. Shout out to my man DJ Miggy out here with the finest of hairs. Gorgeous locks, you know what I mean? Shout out to the locks as well. Let's see where we are. Is he there? I believe he's there. Let's find out. Why is this doing this? It's not that I hate Zoom. It's just sometimes Zoom could be greater. You know? Like you look at it, it's like your cousin who goes to jail every summer. Like, dude, we know you can do better. We know your mom. She was kind of nice. You don't have to continue to do this anymore, Michael. Not that I'm talking to anybody specific, but you know who I'm talking about. It's your cousin. You've been looking at him in the face, staring at him in the eyes. Hold up one sec. Let me see if we can get the man them in here. Why? Oh, yeah, man. Shout out to my guy, Miggy, coming through with the subs. Hey, more importantly, make sure to hop on the Twitch if you want to join in on all the shenanigans in the chat. Shout out to my man, A Spade. Yo, you know what's crazy? I feel so good about my skill level. Ah, there we go. There we go. You just gonna send me text messages, Carl? That's your thing? That's what you like to do? You like to send text messages while I'm trying to make life better for... Ungrateful, man. I'm just kidding. That's my guy. So, with no further ado, damn it, man. Let's see what we got going on. Young Carlito. You know what I'm saying? 1 second. Can you hear me, bro? Okay. But yeah, there's no volume coming out of your situation. You got to get your volume situation situated. But this is the Chattie. Actually, you know what we can do, man? I guess this is kind of the beauty in this. Guys, for those that don't know, occasionally I make remixes. So while we figure out these shenanigans. Go there, boy. What are you doing? I'm going to play you some slaps that we made on here, man. While we get our lives together, one step at a time. Shout out to you and yours, man. Particularly yours, you know what I'm saying? Oh, forgot about this one. Ooh. There we go. We'll play slaps while we wait. See if the man them get volume. Uh-oh, is he talking? Say something, Crrll. All right, say nothing, Crrll.
Test.
Oh,
One,
man.
two.
You sound phenomenal. Spit something for the people, man.
Good.
You got bars. I know you do.
Glad we got that figured out.
Oh, man. How we sounding out there, world? Alright, cool. Bet. So, it looks like we got that situation situated. Let's bring in the man, them Crrll. Oh, boy.
Let me in the room, man.
No, bro. No.
Holding
man.
out on me.
Hold on 1 second. My visualizer is being visual right now. Hold up. I told the bitch, hold up. All right,
The
cool.
whole day.
You already know, man. Yeah,
Ace of Spade.
Shout out to the man, MS Ace of Spade. Shout out to everybody on our Facebook and Twitch community, YouTube community, all the communities.
Crunch cakes.
You know what I mean?
Mama
Oh,
got that
I gotta
bunch
send
of
you that.
crunch
I gotta send you that. Big shout out to my bro, the man named Crrll, man. This is Chattie with Slade, Crrll. We had Music Gear Mondays all damn day today. Started at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time
It's a journey.
on a Clubhouse Chattie.
That was
What?
a good one too.
Yeah, today was fire. Today was super fire. Do me a solid. Do me a solid, really quick. Kind of break down what happened today.
So, woke up this morning,
Made some
got
eggs.
up, put my sneaks on.
True.
Wait,
Big
no, hopped in the shower.
That part.
Brushed my no, wait. Brushed my teeth, hop in the shower.
Talk that sock shit, bro. Let's go.
We hopped on Clubhouse, and we talked about sampling. We talked about how people feel about sampling, because I saw a couple comments on YouTube that were kind of like, they were kind of negative, and they were kind of in the light of like producers that sample, don't make real music, XYZ, and it's kind of ridiculous comments, to be honest. But I kind of wanted to see how everybody felt about sampling in general, because there's a bunch of different mediums in sampling now.
Right.
It's not just finding a record, and we talked about that too. It's not just finding records, crate digging, things like that. There's things like Splice and Sounds and Loop Cloud, where musicians go out and they make sample packs and different things like that. So we talked about all the different mediums and how people feel about sampling, and it was some really good points that were made this morning, I feel like.
For sure, man. Sometimes what happens on Clubhouse, man. I think people get, because everyone mutes, they'll not necessarily know when to rap.
They'll mute and say shit while their shit is mute. Say some foul shit while it's muted.
Nah, not even. Like, people just overtalk.
I'm totally kidding.
No, for sure. Like, people overtalk, and not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but it is not a good thing. And
yeah, sometimes some people they miss out on what they're trying to say because somebody else will keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Or just just because there's certain audio cues that you get when you're talking to kind of move it along, like somebody understands you, and so somebody will keep talking. But this, particularly today, though, it was dope because, one, we kind of put a lot of context in his sampling. Like, I'm from Michigan and originally been living here in Chicago. Sampling is kind of, I mean, there are obviously people who play, but like, sampling is a big thing. Like, we used, at least between me and my friends, we used to have competitions and stuff like that. Like, oh man, 10-minute sample. We all got the same sample. You got to flip these seven sounds to make them sound dope. That's kind of how how I came up. But I believe it was, I forgot homie's name. I think it was Meet with the Kellys. I think his name is John.
Jonathan. Yeah. Jonathan.
Yeah.
That's
like,
the homie.
Like there be, and I didn't really take this into consideration, maybe because of age, but one of the things I didn't really take into consideration was like, there's somebody out there who didn't go through that.
Yeah.
And maybe where they're from might have been frowned upon.
That's another thing too that I didn't realize, is that sampling, like, I wasn't a big sample heavy person, like production wise, and I still don't like sampling's not like I don't sample records a lot, and I never really was heavy on sampling records, but I always sampled or resampled instruments a lot, and that's why things like,
explain that a little bit. So what do you mean when you say this is where we get detailed? So
I would record stuff a lot. I would record like people playing stuff, keys, drums, things like that.
Right.
And some of the earlier days of me doing even production stuff, I was around a lot of musicians and stuff. And so my beats, my hip hop beats and stuff like that, anything I did for rap stuff was very basic, like just drums and synths and stuff like that. Right. And so a lot of the stuff that was sampled or that I did sample was like some drummer I had access to, or some guitar player I had access to, or things like that. Before I got into like even messing with like record sampling and flipping and things like that, because that was like,
okay, so for you, when did that start happening? Like, for me, that happened right out the gate. Like,
yeah, but also, when did you start making beats?
I started making beats in
Like, how young were you?
I was like maybe shit, like 14.
Yeah, see, I wasn't making beats or production stuff until probably like college age. So like
Like the
19,
21s.
20,
Yeah.
yeah, like 19, 20. And then I wasn't serious about it until like mid 20s, you know what I mean? Mid to late 20s is when I started like really going, "Oh, I could actually
Do this
make
and get busy.
records." Yeah,
Right.
and do stuff. And and so the sampling thing wasn't really, and then I had a bunch of musicians around me that were always playing instruments and stuff. And, I was all right, but I wasn't as good as a lot of the cats around me.
Right.
So a lot of times it was like, I'd hear something and I'd be like, oh, can you lay that down or do this or that? And then I would chop it up or I would do something with it, you know what I mean? And make it a specific way that I wanted it. And that's kind of how sampling kind of like realistically sampling in production for me was like a thing, because for me, like listening to records, old records back in the day, or like
Right.
even like a cassette tape and recording and re-recording a cassette tape and things like that, like technically that's sampling,
Right.
but
Totally.
that's not like making production out of sampling. Do you know what I mean? And I guess that's kind of the thing that I was talking about this morning, is like my first initial uh, idea of sampling was cassette tapes and stuff like that. It was
Right.
like dubbing cassette tapes and chopping little parts of cassette tapes to make
So
my own mixtapes and stuff.
just for those who don't know, that would be like a pause tape essentially, no?
Yeah.
Or something very similar to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
my
so
my introduction um to sampling initially started on Acid 3, I think it was 2.0 at the time. And so what they used to do is they would give you these CDs. They would give you these CDs and they would be like full of samples, right? And so a lot of them would be hip hop, some would be techno, some would just be some, kind of like the basis. And it
yeah.
wasn't until I got Fruity Loops 3 that I actually kind of started to learn the process of sampling. Like, I think at the time we're talking about, yeah, it's like year 2000. Sampling's crazy. You're talking about, if we're thinking about the albums that are out at the time, we're probably thinking well, like 2000. Actually, no, I think sampling was a little bit on a decline.
I
'Cause,
think that's the thing too, is that you look at the culture of like pop, like what was popular.
yeah,
And like there's certain times where like I guess I missed the wave when sampling, like early on sampling was a thing, and then it dro- kind of dropped down a little bit and
right,
then kind of came back. There was like a resurgence of producers that were doing crazy things with samples that were
yeah,
like popular. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, for
Like there's
sure.
always been people doing stuff with samples, but like there's these certain eras or decades where it's like it went away and it came back and it went away and came back,
For
and it was
sure.
like the
Well,
different producers that were doing stuff with it. I think it's like the influence of pop culture kind of like pushes you to kind of look for stuff. You know what I mean? Especially
yeah,
living like in Denver, Colorado, you're in the middle of the country, so you're not gonna see all the trends right away. You're not gonna see trends right off the bat unless you know people. Like I was lucky enough to know cousins or family or whatever that lived
right.
in like the West Coast and East Coast or whatever that would, put me
Actually,
on stuff.
before you continue, can you let them know
Yeah.
what year you were born, and I'll let them know mine. I was born
Oh,
in
that's a
'86.
secret, man.
Shit, fuck out of
Secret
here.
society.
Get your old ass out of here, man. Just say it, bro. Just so they understand, like, just so there's a little bit more
Bro, I'm
context to it.
85, so
Okay, cool. So you're a year older than me. So this is back when motherfuckers didn't
had to throw
necessarily
that
have.
out there.
Yeah, for sure. This is more back in like dial-up internet, the beginning of dial-up internet before people are going on to Napster or going from Napster to LimeWire. You're going from being able, yeah, like you're able to go from. This is also the peak of mixtape. This is also the peak of the DVD series. This is kind of the epicenter of the DVD series. This is kind of smack DVD time. Just so we can put it in context, just in case there's like younger people, like my homie A Spade. Like I guarantee he's probably heard of this kind of chatter, but like he just so he understands, like, yo, this was kind of like a different time. You know what I mean? Big shout out to E Train. Big shout out to the homie Justin Raymond. Shout out to A Spade in the chat.
Yeah, EJ made a good point, man,
What do you say?
on sampling too. saying that people hate when you make money off of something they created in their eyes. Plus, they want to shine too. And we touched on that too this morning in the chat. Was that a lot of times too? It's about money or it's about fame, and it's like sometimes
Yeah.
a band might not hit the way they want to hit in a certain era.
Like
You
in
know,
their
and then,
time, yeah.
yeah, and then somebody younger comes along, and all of a sudden it's a slap, and so they look at it as like sometimes in some cases some artists and some bands like that shit. Like somebody
Right.
like Paul McCartney likes seeing his random stuff getting,
Getting sampled and stuff like that.
yeah, getting sampled by Travis Scott or whoever's using it.
Right.
So it just I really think it depends on the artist as well and their knowledge of like that style of music.
For sure. You also know what it is too, man, and I guess I don't know. This is gonna get a little conspiracy theory heavy. Around the time that the crack laws are coming out, and so there's a difference between like the punishment that you'll get for soft versus crack cocaine, right? Was kind of the same time that they were putting those laws in play for like sampling a work and then covering.
Yeah.
Like the covering laws, the way those normally work, and they're fairly easy and they're kind of painless. To cover a person's record, you pretty much just there's certain parameters that they want you to meet. So sometimes you can change the instrumental. Sometimes you can, you know what I'm saying, change the chord structure of a song in order for you to be able to use it. But when it came down to like actual hip hop, I believe De La Soul was kind of at the center of that. Fucking Beastie Boys were at the center of that. It was almost kind of like an anti-hip hop thing that was going on. But sampling had been going on way long before then. And the technology for it, like the Fariza was like one of the first samplers, and that shit's hella expensive. The CM1, hella expensive. It kind of gets, but things change once the SP1200s come in, the MPC 60s. The Roger Lynn stuff kind of comes into play. It's all, I don't know. It's all kind of weird because it's multi-level. So it's like, all right, cool. You're using my work. I want to be credited for it. But how am I credited for it? We have the sound recording. We have the master recording. All right, cool. Well, if my drummer doesn't necessarily own the copyright to it, what was my man? I think his name was Stubfield. The dude who played Clyde Stubfield. I believe he was the guy who played
James Brown drummer?
Yeah, James Brown drummer who played the funky drummer.
Yeah.
Like
the most sampled drum loop like ever.
100%. And he wasn't eating off of that. He's the one who played it. But
what's funny is that he wasn't mad about it.
No, he wasn't mad about it. But he probably was, I don't know, somebody who's close to him.
He thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course he had to. You have to. I feel like you would feel that type of pain early. You know what I mean? Like, damn, all right, well, the gigs with James have stopped. How am I going to eat now? You know what I mean? I'm guessing that's normally when you feel that type of shit. But you have people like that, like, who's getting paid? Who played on this record? Because these are also things that are, like, making cats pick records.
Yeah.
So, like...
But also you have to look at it as like a lot of those organizations didn't exist back then too, you know?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's the advent of it's the advent of hip hop sampling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Cuz like reggae used to go crazy with the samples, but they used to sample each other's creative works. That's why you have so many versions of the same beat for like what's the record, man? Not Lady Saw. Like No has numerous versions.
No.
Bum Bum has numerous versions, different songs on it. There's the Dennis Brown. One of my favorite records by Dennis Brown is called Let Me Down Easy. Numerous versions of that particular song throughout time. They have no issue. For some reason, it came down to hip hop, and everybody had an issue. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. I always found that strange.
Well, you already know what it is. The hip hop culture, the hip hop genre has always been looked at like from especially in the U.S., man, it's like a built out of scarcity, built in the ghettos, built on like like what was going on a lot of times in the US as far as,
Right.
black culture. And so a lot of times it wasn't pop music, it wasn't rock music. Although there was, Chuck Berry and there was, Jimi Hendrix, there was a lot of artists in those other genres that
Right.
were black. Black music was specifically built in hip hop music. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
specifically out of those neighborhoods up in Harlem and up, you know what I mean? Like, so there's always gonna be that. I'm not gonna say there's always gonna be that, but there was always that pushback when it came to like the music industry.
Right.
And now when you look at like trap music or any of that stuff, it's like pop music.
Yeah. Well, trap technically at this point is pop music.
It's pop, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that's not originally where it came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't know that. There's a ton of people that don't know that and won't know that. So I
What's
feel like that's how the music industry worked for so long.
for sure, and at least to me, like the thing that makes that ill is like right now, if you listen to original Juicy J production,
Yeah,
technically the drums are pop now.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But like back in the day, that was like music that if it came on in a club, you probably didn't want to be there for that long. You know what I mean? In terms of danger and shit like that. But one of the questions that we asked today was, well, it was a two-parter. So it was, what was your introduction to sampling, and what made you want to sample?
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you those same questions right now, right here on the Chattie with Slada and Crrll.
For me, so my introductory to sampling, like I said, was my introductory to what sampling was
Right.
making those mixtapes, like as a young buck, just kind of resampling tapes and finding different ways to segment tapes through making like mixtapes. And then my introductory to like actually creating samples or creating with samples was a little later on, and it was on a Phantom S. Like I said, the Roland Phantom S was like um, my first piece of machinery that actually allowed me to sample. So um, that was kind of like, yeah, that was kind of like the jump off point of when I first started to get into sampling. The Roland Phantom S, man, and sampling like other instruments into it to track.
Was there a particular album or opportunity that was like, yo, fuck it, I'm gonna just sample this record and hopefully, you know what I mean? Like, what got you into wanting to
The
do it?
first couple of things I sampled were instruments, but the first record I sampled and ever like did a record with was what is this song called? I can't think of the name of it right now. It's gonna come back to me. It's gonna come back to me. It's a song I did with this artist named Jaguar. I have to look it up because it's out. But it was like the first time I actually put a record together for an artist and like used samples and stuff.
Was it like specially requested at that time? Like, yo, let's make a sample joint, or was it more like, oh shit?
No,
I can just
it was
loop this.
basically I found the record and like sampled it, and I had a turntable back then, so I used the turntable to sample it into the Phantom, and then from there layered it, chopped it with like drums and hats and all this stuff, and then from there tracked it out into like Acid Pro.
Oh
And
shit.
so yeah, Acid Pro. Shout out Sony Acid. But yeah, and then he went out and he got the clearance for the record and all this stuff, and it was the first time I ever did a record like that was like a sample joint. And then after that, I was like, well, damn, I could use samples. Like I could make beats with chopped up sections of songs that I like, horns or whatever. Damn, I can't think of the name of that damn song. It's gonna come to me.
So
When it does, I'll shout it out.
what made
But
me
that was like my first thing with sampling was like
like
off
fucking
of
with
a
that.
record. Yeah.
What era were we in? Like around that time. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll tell you my introduction after you tell me that. But like, what was
So
your what
this was
era?
like early 2000s, or no, it was early
Who's
2000s, and
popping right now?
it was like backpack rap style joint. So
Okay,
it was like in the Slumville era of music. Like,
like early, like second, like Dillaless.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nah, man. What got me into well, like my introduction to sampling was the Doggy Style album. My brother, my pops had passed at that time. 94 was like a weird year for me. My father had passed. He had left my brother a Chrysler LeBaron, and my brother being the fucking teenager, a wonderful person, but the teenager that he is, he goes and he throws a 10-inch sub inside of it, right? And there's a record on the Doggy Style album. Murder Was the Case. The remix though. The remix is super eerie. Scares the dog shit out of me. It just feels satanic. Particularly if you've watched the video and you kind of understand it, but he was like, "What you scared of?" I just don't like the music. Doesn't make me feel good. And so one day he's playing Doggy Dog World on the in the car while he's
It's
cleaning
the
it,
doggy dog world.
and that bass line was so
Mhm.
crazy, and I was like, "What's making it do all that?" And so while he's cleaning the car, he opens the trunk up, and there's this 10-inch subwoofer inside of it. It's like a gray speaker. I still remember that shit to this day. And I go to put my hand on the record, and if you know the bass line and the way that it punches and sonically, all I knew from that very day, I was like, yo, I want to do whatever this is.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about 2000, so when I first started getting into it, it was kind of like the beginning of the Kanye era, but him as a producer. So we're talking like chipmunk samples out the yin yang, the snare that had a clap in it,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
It's like the phased out joint.
yeah, I hate that. Still hate that to this day.
That was the sound back then, though.
Nah, it was the shit. It was the
That was
shit
an
at the
iconic
time.
sound back in the day.
Makes me cringe now. Um, but it was that going on, and then also sound bombing shit was going on at the time. So like a lot of the raucous records, listening to 88 Keys, J. Rawls, who else, man? Just listening to like mad freestyles, like going and listening to Ali Vegas on LimeWire and shit like that. Like 106 and Park battles are going on at this time, and everybody whenever they,
LimeWire, damn,
yeah, bro.
those were the days.
And when everybody is going up there to, you know what I'm saying, either when you go up to a major radio station or you have one of those moments, it normally what ended up happening was that moment would happen. It would come out on a mixtape, and then it would go directly to LimeWire.
Yeah,
People would rip it off a CD,
the,
put it
the
on
leak,
there.
where the leaks were real back in the day.
What? Dog, you might as well, like, for those that don't know, there was a period of time where you could walk into a record store and get an album 2 weeks early.
Yeah,
I repeat, 2 weeks early. Not a leaked anything. I'm talking about everything, not even a question if this is gonna come out. And so we would just go up to this store called Puffer Reds in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is like one of the stores that, you know what I'm saying, like if you're a touring act, you would go hit that store and try to leave merch. And so we had just got the Eminem Any Man freestyle off LimeWire. And we had heard like, oh no, dog, this is part of the sound bombing shit. You need to go get it. And so we hit the store and we listened to that whole shit front to back, and we were just listening to all the samples and how grimy it sounded. And shit, that's literally what I wanted to do. I was like, yo, I just want to make a whole bunch of these. And then also Alchemist was kind of killing at that time too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then shit,
Hold you down.
that
That was the joint back in the day.
We Gonna Make It was going off at that time. Like,
Oh, oh, Jada Kiss the Locks, all that stuff. Rough Riders,
yeah.
all that stuff was that.
Because like you're also like there's two things going on, right, culturally that are different, right? You
Yeah.
have like I think around 2002 is either no, because 2001 you have Blueprint, so volume 3 it was maybe 99 I think, and some of my favorite joints on there are all sample beats, like So Ghetto by Jay-Z, still one of my favorite records to this day. um Yeah, definitely. LimeWire was definitely an interesting era. Shout out to my man named Spade, man. But yeah, that was what was going on for me, and that was like, so me and my homies, we went to this art school. It's called Community High School, and we used to go. So unlike other high schools in the area, we could kind of go off campus when we wanted to go to lunch, which also
Yeah.
meant we would skip. And so my homie didn't live that far away. He lived about maybe 20 minutes away from the school.
Yeah.
We would go drive over there during lunch, and we would have beat battles until his parents
What
showed
would you
up.
take the school to have beat battles on?
Shit, it'd be just me, him, I think one more of our homies.
Oh, it was at his crib.
It was at his crib.
Oh, okay.
We would just go ahead, play joints, listen to records, like listen to, because his dad had a big jazz record in his basement.
Yeah.
And then what we would do is we
Joints, just sample some stuff.
sampled it, like it'd be trash samples too, bro. Yo, make something hot.
Yo,
Yeah.
Lunic88 says LimeWire, FrostWire, and Kazaa. Dude, I
Absolutely.
remember Kazaa for sure.
I never got on FrostWire, but Kazaa and LimeWire were my thing. That was
Kazaa
my
the
shit.
joint. Yeah, LimeWire and Kazaa were the two that I hit up the most.
And speaking of LimeWire, what we would do is we would go sample drums from like the new pop and shit. So we would find open drums, put it in SoundForge, chop
Take
those
jazz records up.
sample those, put our little, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, I think if you chop here and then put it in Fruity Loops, this is before you could just go, you know what I mean? Like before you could, Slice X actually did amazing shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, that was kind of how I got into sampling. What
That's what's crazy is that now a kid there's apps on your phone. You can have a beat battle at school with the apps on your phone.
dog with Koala?
You could yo, there's so many apps now. You could just, we about to go have a beat battle. Go to the park, open your phone up. All right, everybody bust out the beats. Let me hear them.
Yeah, and I guess what's ill about that to me too is that like
you had to have a desktop computer back in the day, a full out desktop PC, power PC that was as big as.
Do you know how heavy the fucking screen was?
With the monitor was a
with the fat ass. The monitor with the fat ass, my guy. Holy guacamole! Listen, right now. If you have an iPhone or Android, it doesn't even have to be a fancy one, and you can screen record.
You could do everything. You could just sample on the screen record, take it in the Koala, chop it up. The game is definitely changed. Can you imagine the shit like 10 years from now?
Yeah.
The producers that are gonna come out of like kids right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, with all of that access to information, sounds, music, like you can literally go on YouTube, find an old jazz record, chop some drums up, all on your phone, and even record your voice. You could record vocal sample. You could do it all on your phone.
For sure.
Like literally. And they're only gonna get more powerful going forward. Like they're not gonna get less powerful. You're gonna be able to do more on your phones.
I mean, the fact that we're able to even sample and like split records up right now in the 4 categories is fucking serious.
Insane, because you think about when you're sitting there using a Sony Acid or whatever you were using, to make a record. It would take so long to just get the sample chopped the right spot, and then EQ it the way you wanted it to sound, and then like take it back into the sampler or whatever you're using.
For
Like
sure.
it was such a process just prepping to make the beat, versus
Yeah.
now it's like the workflow is just like boom, here it is, boom, take it, drop it into the sampler, auto chop. Here's the sections. It shows you the key. It's in A minor. Like
Yo, I mean, it gives you so much game right off the rip.
so much.
Justin Raymond said, I learned so much about music, would have never known about, let me make sure I'm sorry. I learned so much about music I would have never known about because of producers sampling records. Sampling gives new life to old
Yeah.
music and slowed careers.
Basically, what he's saying is that because of these producers sampling these records, he went back and found out these artists or these songs that got sampled,
Right.
and ended up following those bands and groups because of it.
For sure.
And that's another thing we talked about this morning, is that it opens up the door to so many other artists. There might be somebody that doesn't know who the Beatles are.
Correct.
Till somebody plays the White Album by Danger Mouse or something like that. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like, who the hell is that in the back? And then, oh my God, these guys are amazing. I mean, just as an example, everybody knows who the Beatles are, but just as an example, that might happen down the line. That might happen. You know what I mean? Like somebody might not know who Chick Corea is or something, or
Yeah. Or
whoever,
Canon Elderly or some shit like that.
Yeah, and until they listen to one of these records that's been sampled off of, and they're like, damn, who's playing the keys, or who's playing the bass, or who's playing the drum? And they're like, oh, that's a sample from X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how so many dope, like, Parliament songs, or, like, there's so many good funk records that came out that were, like, sampled because of the bass lines or the drums or some shit like that. And they
Nautilus by Bob James. Like that's,
dude, Bob James,
like,
man.
all the stuff that he's been doing is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
So
like
many records, man.
I'm not sure if you got a chance to see the video of him being interviewed by Ninth Wonder, but he was talking.
No, I saw like a snippet, but I didn't get to see the full joint.
Got you. So one of the things that he said, man, that I thought was just super key, was like, all right, so one of the things I didn't know about vinyl, and this is why it's good to talk to older musicians who they used to strategize differently for how to sequence an album, right?
Yeah.
And so his thing was, if a record's on the outside, it's the loudest. That's the single. If it's on the inside, it's the quietest. Nautilus was on the inside rim of the record. It was never intended for what it was being used for now, or what it was being used for then.
To make slaps.
Yeah, it was never intended for that. So you have this record that was essentially years later treated like a single. But if you look at some of these records and you see that, like, all right, Herbie Hancock, not this particular record that we're talking about, but Bob James, Herbie Hancock, I'm thinking of other musicians too. Tom Brown. All these guys used to play together. Like the homie in I forgot his name. I'm so mad I forgot his name. But he brought up a really great point about like crate digging. He was like, yo, if you knew the labels, you kind of knew.
Oh, homie from this morning on Clubhouse.
Yeah, like, yo, you knew who was playing together, and you knew that at that time, like, even if it was a blind dig, and a blind dig is you grabbing a record and not looking at the back of it, or not being able to, you know what I'm saying, not being able to listen to it. Just a blind dig.
The labels got heat.
Yeah, like, all right, yo, CTI in 77 was killing. They went on a run for 2 to 3 years. I'm grabbing anything that's from that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But one thing, though, that I think is kind of, I don't want people to miss out on this experience, is going into a record store, and I still have this from time to time. Shout out to Drew at 606 Records in Pilsen. He's one of the few people. There's another old guy on out in Oak Park. It's like Madison and Harlem if you've been to Chicago, and then People's Records in Detroit. That's actually where I met DJ Dez, former DJ from Slum Village.
Yeah.
Going into a store and being like, "Yo, what kind of," and the dude who owned the store knowing your vibe off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Yo, what kind of samples you looking for?"
Yeah, those relationships that you build.
Yo, man, this record has dope strings on it. Yo, oh man, you'll love this one. And this one has tons of drum breaks. Like,
Yeah. And
dog,
now they got that with AI when you log into Splice.
yo, how do you feel about Splice?
I dig it, man. You already know, man. I love sample based anything. Like, so those companies to me are gems.
I love Splice. For some reason, I can't get myself to either take a loop, like a drum loop. I'm not sure if I can spiritually do it yet, or to just take.
What do you mean? Like,
Cause like all right, so one of the packs that I downloaded, was the Boy Wonder pack, and I've also downloaded numerous decap, and I use a lot of decap stuff and a lot of the trap records I use.
Yeah, makes amazing drum. Like, he just makes amazing drum kit. Him and what's the other homie's name? Count.
Count. I don't even have one of his yet. I need to get it.
Yeah, he's got some like them dudes. They just know how to make their drums like hit, like really hit, and sound.
And they have like really dope
amazing.
texture too.
Yeah. They have a unique sound to them, and I think it's dope. You know what I mean? That there's a science that goes into that, and that's what we were talking about too. Is that not everybody can do that. Not everybody is gonna sit there and run their samples through a tape machine or do excessive random stuff to their samples.
For sure.
And some people don't know how to do that stuff.
Nah, man.
So, and they might be really amazing at sequencing drums or putting beats together or whatever, but they might not just have the knowledge
of sound design.
That specific thing. You know what I mean? Because that is a trait. There's a lot of people that can sound design, but they can't make a hit record, or they can't make, you know what I mean, certain records. So like those sound designers are a necessity, man. Like, I mean, there's people that make sounds for music or for movies when you watch movies and it's just somebody walking through grass or some shit like that. There's people that are experts in that area that know all these little tricks and stuff like that a lot of people would never know. You know what I mean? And
have you ever watched one of those videos? Like seeing someone make
like the ADR stuff.
Oh, bro, it's so fucking weird and tight at the same time. If I can't express this enough to anybody that's watching, if you've never watched somebody do sound design for a fight or for a scary scene,
it's crazy where they get the sounds too. It's like random stuff you wouldn't even expect to be somebody getting punched or kicked or stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like really random stuff.
And what's even crazier, at least to me, is like you have guys like you have guys like Monty Booker. Monty Booker, hands down, I'm just gonna give it up. Out of this generation of producers,
yeah.
Yo, as soon as I get my switcher and I'm able to bring up goats and the goat sound while I bring up the goats, just know there's a scream of a goat nearby. He's definitely one of the goats. He's figured out bounce. He's figured out sound design. He's figured out so much. Like Ace is saying, the foley, like being able to take the foley and manipulate it so it's rhythmic, but also building texture and things that are moving. It's kind of like, I don't know if anybody has ever listened to Minimal House. Minimal House doesn't really move that much, but that's the beauty in it, is that it moves gradually.
There's textures to it and layers to it.
And that man has it down all the way. A friend of mine, John Content, shout out to my dog John Content. hit me up the other day and was like, "Yo, you need to go listen to Black Swan by
Yeah.
Smino." And I was like, "Yo, I think I've already listened to it, dog." And he was like, "Nah, go listen to it again and let's talk about it." And between him, oh, and another one, is it Felix or Folix?
What's the name?
It's like Phoelix, Folix.
Oh yeah. I
Him
don't know how
and
to
Cam
pronounce it.
Obi are
I
my
know who you're
three
talking about.
faves, bro.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro's dope. He's got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like those three cats really, really, really have it. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them right now. But when it comes time for it, I think, you know what I'm saying, that God willing, they'll get their, you know what I'm saying, to get their praise. But just in terms of sound design and the samples
Yeah.
that they're using,
Well,
like
I think the other thing too is I think that style of music it's popular, but it's not pop yet. I think that's what's
totally.
gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's usually when a lot of those producers get their break is when they're starting to like that style of music starts to get popular. Like for example, Thundercat, got his nomination this year because his style of music
Nah,
in
not a
that
nom, man. That boy
genre.
got an award, man. He got a
And,
trophy,
and
man.
yeah, but bro's always been dope, and his style of music has always been dope. But he's always been kind of bouncing around in different areas of music. But bro's
Yeah.
always been dope. He's always been a really dope producer. But his style of music and his style of production, same thing with Thundercat, has just been like in the last couple years, really, you know, starting to get popular.
For
And even
sure.
like the funk genre of music is really starting to get popular again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in this era, this newer age funk stuff is starting to get popular again.
For sure.
And
And you know what's
so,
crazy? It's having like, you remember like the jazz renaissance that was kind of happening around like the Thundercat time, the James Fauntleroys, the what's my man, Eric Roberson, those dudes, even
yeah,
Sarah. Like there was a crazy jazz renaissance that was happening. I feel like a funk renaissance is happening. Like right now with from the Tuxedos to Maxwell to Mono Neon to, I mean, shit, and it was kind of kicked off. I mean, obviously way before, with like, you know what I mean, like maybe G Funk on the West
yeah,
Coast.
it's always been popular. But then it takes a couple of those top tier artists
Yep,
to do one or two records in that style of music for all of the other stuff to start,
moving
bubbling
to the
to the
top.
top.
Yep,
And I think what's going to help with that is that Bruno Mars Anderson Paak record that just came out, because that style and the
yeah,
way they did that record is very old soul, Motown funky style stuff. So it's like
like Heat
all
Waves,
of
Always and Forever type
Oh,
shit.
all of
Yeah,
the stuff in the vein of that style of music is going to start hitting these next couple years. At least for like another year or two, that stuff's going to start hitting. People are going to like that stuff's going to be getting suggested to people that are just listening to that single. You know what I mean, on Spotify or wherever. So
is that your prediction? Is that what you're putting out there?
I feel like it, man. I feel like because of that, just like the whole Afrobeat movement. You remember that there was, I feel like last year, because of the pandemic, I feel like a lot of the Afrobeat shit kind of got pushed to the side
It definitely did.
because that was going to be a huge summer in the US for Afrobeat music. That was
Yeah,
about to be a huge summer for Afrobeat music.
like the
And
apex
then,
of that was probably what If by Davido
yeah, I mean, it
or
was,
Joanna,
it was him. It was,
Burner
what's her
Boy.
name? I can't think of homegirl's name.
Shit, I can't.
Tiwa Savage. It was him, Tiwa Savage,
Burner Boy.
Burner Boy. Yeah, I mean
Rima was on his way to cracking off
there was
crazy.
like 12 artists in the Afrobeat world that were about to explode in the US. Like
Yeah,
they were already popping all over the rest of the world. The
right.
US is always like last when it comes to like world
International
music.
imports and shit like that.
Yeah, so like all the Latin stuff, all the Afrobeat stuff, all the European stuff, it hits last in the US. And so the Afrobeat stuff was about to explode. All those cats were headlining all the festivals last summer were at least in the first tier of headliners had
Yeah.
at least 2 or 3 of those artists in all of those festivals. So that influence of that style of music for people that aren't as popular
Right.
is huge, because that's how social media works. That's how Spotify. That's how a lot of that stuff works. Is that, oh, you like hip hop, you like, whatever, XYZ. Check this out, and then all of a sudden you're on to something that might not be as popular, but is just as good. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so that's what's gonna happen with this funk movement, man. It's like, if those songs hit the way that I feel like they're gonna hit, then a lot of people in that genre style are gonna be getting a lot more plays and getting a lot more views and plays. Like, people are gonna be able to see that a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's I guess for me that's really what I'm hoping for. Like I'm hoping for actually hold up before I continue this thought. Hey, if you're in the chat and you actually want us to respond to something, please leave a comment. It'll help. What I think is gonna happen though is I don't know. I keep waiting for this Drake album to drop. The Lover Boy joint, and I'm waiting for the Rihanna album just to see.
What style they're on?
Yep.
Because that's really the influencing, like, of all the algorithms. Like,
It's a tick, man.
those top pop artists, man. I'm telling you, once they dive into like another sound, and then that sound already lives out there,
Right.
whatever artists are in that sound that are already like out there are gonna start getting more shine. That's like the thing, because they can grind all day and put out their own records and stuff like that, but unless they're dumping a ton of money into their own marketing and all that stuff, which is like normally not the main focus for a lot of artists. A lot of artists are just creating, putting stuff out, putting stuff out,
Right.
collabing, things like that. So, unless they have sign a major deal or something like that, which these top tier artists have, they have the millions of dollars to spend on marketing and all that stuff. So
Right.
that's the trickle down effect, That's where
Nah.
we start to see it in action.
For sure, for sure. Like I remember Kendrick kind of kicked off a big portion of that jazz funk movement.
Yeah.
That like
That's what
cats
I
were
mean
sitting
about
in
the
the
whole
tuck.
Thundercat Flylo situation, because they were around and in that scene, and
Yeah.
even Anderson .Paak was around and in that scene doing stuff with Dre and all the Aftermath stuff.
Well, shit.
A lot of those cats are bubbling together, you know what I mean? So a lot of their ideas play off of each other. And when one of them gets popping in that style or area,
Yeah.
5 of them have records that they already made that sound, you know what I mean, in the same vein. So like,
you
it's
know
not
what's-
hard for them to put stuff out.
You know what's
that's
super
that same
interesting
vein.
about what you just said, man? And I think we know the sun sets in the West, but a lot of our cultural shit kind of happens on the West Coast. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like you'll think of, let's see, that was my mouth, guys. Relax.
In here getting too hype.
It's crazy. Anyway, a lot of the lo-fi movement that came out
Yeah.
that just recently got a Grammy.
You mean
LA.
do you mean when you say lo-fi movement, do you mean like
Like the
low end theory?
Yeah, the low end theory movement.
Okay.
Essentially. Like the essential, and you know what, you are right to correct me on that. So totally. When you think of those type of movements, you think of, unfortunately, like the source is LA. A lot of
Yeah.
the new music, alternative R&B shit, LA. Shit. I'm thinking, what else? There was another movement that had just got not Grammy nominated, and that was a lot of that, like the Pac Div, Nipsey Hussle time, the UNIs.
Oh, that was like early 2000s as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like what's crazy in the last couple of years, all those different movements that were like moving,
Yeah.
they finally have either a nomination or they have an award.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? And then you
They're
take this.
either the face of or behind the production or writing or something of whatever's popping out there.
Yeah, and so it kind of makes me think of that thing that Questlove said at one time where they were struggling, and so I guess he went to go see some label exec. I'm not sure if these are the exact words in the exact scenario, but if just please follow. But what ended up happening for him was he was like, I guess the information that was presented to him was, hey, if you guys are gonna move and go be something really big and something functional,
Yeah.
you need to go find whoever's the hot shit next to you and have them come out of your same camp. So that's how you got the neo soul movement.
Yeah.
The Jill Scotts, the Erykah Badu's, the Commons, the Talib Kweli's. You know what I'm saying? Like the second iteration of their careers, or first iteration of their careers, depending on where they were at that time. D'Angelo as well. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm curious to see what other movement is gonna come out of. I guess my thought is L.A., but it could come from anywhere really. Like who's gonna be like that next musical movement,
The next thing.
the push, you know what I'm saying, to push things forward.
You guys had a pretty good chunk of artists moving out in Chicago. You guys had a pretty good.
There's a lot of it's indie, and it's which
Yeah.
is dope. But because like it's a bunch of indie rappers, it almost
But
feels like the
also,
Bay. You know what I'm saying?
that's that Monte Booker sound too. That's coming out of that area as well, man. Like some of those artists that you have coming out of Chicago and of Indiana or whatever,
Yeah.
Indianapolis, those Twin
St. Louis.
Cities and all that stuff. I forget the other homie's name, but they have that similar sound though. They have that like that sound, and I feel like that's a new sound that's gonna kind of
Like when you
pop off, man, soon.
I was gonna say, as somebody who's not from here, when you think of that particular movement, what artists do you put in that category? Like that.
someone like Smino, man. Someone like Smino that really fits that style. That's like the newer style of
like the Midwest.
Like the Midwest, yeah. That's like, because there's a couple other artists that sound like him that I can't think of. I mean, they don't sound like him, but I'm saying they're in that similar vein of
for
music.
Sure. Like for me, I would put like Smino, Saba.
Yeah, Saba's another dude that kind of fits that.
Raven Lene.
Femdot
definitely. Almost feel like he's a little bit different. He almost, you know what's crazy? I'm a big fan. Like I've been coming.
Femdot got bars, man.
And it doesn't feel. What's the word? It's not that a lot of cats don't rap from here.
Yeah,
but he reminds me so much of Lou, dog. He reminds me so much of like almost kind of East Coast inspired.
I was about to say that. He got that. He's definitely got like the New York bars feel.
Bro.
Like,
and it's
he
so
dope. His punchlines and that's another reason why the first time I saw him, it was on a show out here, and I was like, "Who is this dude?" Like this kid was basically just bars, but then the beats were not. It was like I don't know. He has like something about it, man, that is dope. And the way he like gets into it with the crowd and everything, like he's an interactive dude, and just bars, man. Like the stuff that he'd be rapping about is not typical. So I really like him, man. I think his style is crazy. I want to see him definitely blow up and do some things, man.
I want to see him have a year. Toby Lou is another one.
Yeah, Toby Lou's another dude. I feel like has more of that, but he's a LA dude now too. I think he's out in Cali too.
Saba's out there now. Him and Joseph Chilliams from Pivot. They're both. So I mean, not to blow up their shit.
It's only a matter of time that sound's gonna intertwine and start to like really bubble, man. Because that's really what it takes. It takes a couple of artists in the vein of that music to start popping off for everything else to like really kind of explode.
Yeah. I'm trying to think too. Are there any other movements that like maybe I'm not thinking of? Oh, John Doe, MF and Mello, dog. If you've never heard of MF and Mello, imagine if Fiend. Yeah, he's like a child of Fiend from No Limit.
Pivot Gang. That's what it was.
Yeah, like that's Joseph Chilliams, Day Day Pivot, Fresh Waters, all those dudes from Pivot, man. But yeah, because I almost feel like they're a generation that was maybe working at the same time as Chance, but got their shake after Chance. So I always
Yeah.
have like like I would want to couple them together with like him, Vic Spencer, but I almost
I
feel
feel
like
like
there was like
they're
maybe a
that
2 to
that's
3 year delay on that.
yeah, that I feel like they came out that was like a different uh movement too, right? So like
Yeah, for sure. It's
they
like
were like
Save
the second
Money and a
movement
couple
of
others.
like the Chicago dudes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when all those dudes came out. And so Chance is one of those dudes that's been doing it like, and what's crazy is his style his music has changed, but his style has stayed consistent with what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And
Fact.
so I
No,
feel like yeah, that was like that's a whole different movement. But you guys still got like a ton of artists, man, that are like just getting started. And so
and I guess for me that's something I'm more so excited about. Just to see like all right, so there's this group here called Mother Nature.
yeah,
Two I guess you can't say female anymore. Two MCs who happen to be women. Fire. Great energy, great performance, great look,
yeah,
crazy. They're people who I have my eye on in terms of who I feel is going to be, who may have the next energy to come outside of the city. There's also another MC who is a woman, Freddie Old Soul. She's super, super, super dope, and she's so like, bro. She has like this dope feminine energy to her, but she's talking shit. Like she's
Freddie
talking
Dope.
that shit. Bro. Next time when you know what I'm saying when we do this again, I'll definitely have
We gotta play some examples
I
next
gotta play
time.
some examples next
That's what we
time.
gotta do.
Also, before we wrap too, producers, if you do beat sets, we're gonna be bringing back the Beat Lo-Fi Social every Monday. We're gonna be doing it digitally. We're gonna set up a Discord for it, as well as a Music Gear Mondays. It'll probably just be we could probably just set it up as one and just kind of keep it pushing that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But we definitely want y'all to come in here, rock, play beats, performances. That way, you know, it's the environment's right for it, and we can add like really dope visuals and shit to it. So that'll definitely be that time. But I was gonna say I got a record by you, bro, in my house.
Did you get that?
I definitely got that. You got to tell me how to connect with some of these other cats outside of Boy
Oh
Jet.
yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
But before we get out of here, man, talk about that. Shout out to everybody in the Grand Alliance, man. Talk to us about that.
The Grand Alliance. So, I mean, this record is a collaboration between myself and two other artists from Denver. Very talented singer-songwriter, uh, Crrll's, and another very talented singer-songwriter, Kayla Marquis. Super dope, man. We connected kind of before the pandemic, about a year before that. Made a couple records. We really didn't think nothing about it. We were just gonna put some stuff out because we were vibing, man. We wanted to make something funky, futuristic, and we ended up making a full project, man. And linked up with my guys over at Red Bull, put together a vinyl, and put it out, man. Did a couple of streams, so now it's out and it's live. We sold out of the vinyl, and we're gonna be doing some more shows coming up. So that's gonna be fun, man. It's something different, futuristic,
What
funky.
was kind of like the ethos in creating like creating that project? Like,
I mean, for one, it was like all of us are into like sci-fi films, sci-fi stories, things like that. So
okay.
things like The Matrix and Star Wars and Star Trek and anything that had to do with like the future and technology and things like that. And so we didn't really know that about each other until we started doing this project. And a lot of the songs on this record kind of touch on these different concepts of like the future and technology and different things like that. So that was kind of the theme, man, of the album. And so that's what it turned into, and we ended up putting a whole record together based on it. And we're gonna put out this live stream actually that we did for the solution. I think like next week, so that'll be up on our IG and up on the YouTube. And yes, basically three different characters based in the future. I'm like, if you've ever watched Alien, you ever seen the movie Alien?
Absolutely, of
The
course. I'm a
first one.
nerd.
So I'm basically my character's based off like an android. So um I'm basically flying around the galaxy trying to find different life forms, and then I find these two kind of beings floating in space and bring them aboard the ship, and all of a sudden we turn into this group that creates dope, funky, futuristic vibes. And so that's the story, man. And there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we're gonna be working on coming up. So
I'm
trying to do
excited
some
for you.
more visuals and some more music, but yeah, mainly just having some fun with it and creating stuff that we can enjoy, man.
For sure, for sure. All right, cool. So
Yeah.
next week, what's going on? What?
Music Gear Monday.
Yes,
So
sir.
next week, Music Gear Monday's topic is going to be Serato. So there's a beta version of Serato that came out, Serato beta version 2.5.
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to help support Phase DJ. If any of you guys are familiar with these Phase controllers, they're basically little wireless DVS controllers that you put on top of your control vinyls so that you don't have to use your needles in the clubs. Save you some money, save you from people bumping into your records and making the needle skip and all that good stuff.
That part.
They basically updated that so that you don't have to plug in your RCAs anymore. You just plug it in USB to your computer. That's all going to be on Music Gear Monday next week, and we're talking about Big Sur and compatibility and different things like that. So hop in there, youtube.com/Music Gear Monday, or just go to musicgearmonday.com.
For
They're on
sure.
the screen.
And it was super dope about going to Music Gear Monday is that all this stuff that we talk about, either be equipment, software, plugins, apps, it's going to be all available on that website. So make sure to go lock in for that.
All of the links and tings. And then we'll be here Monday nights. We're going to be here chatting it up and doing some beat ciphers.
Yes, sir.
I think that's going to be fun, man, getting everybody involved in that. So if any producers out there, hit us up, man. We want to hear some beats and we want to vibe with you.
For sure, for sure. And just so people know, like, this, like, I am Slade on Twitch and anywhere else we're posted. We're just treating it like a TV show. So wherever we can entertain, wherever we can bring really dope content and fresh ideas to the world, man, that's what we're going to do. And also on Music Gear Mondays and also on the Crrll page. Make sure to go follow Music Gear Mondays on YouTube, on Instagram, and wherever else. You know what I mean? I think you have Music Gear Mondays on Twitter, no?
Yeah, I just started a Twitter for Music Gear Mondays, and yeah, so that's gonna be the Twitter experience for Music Gear Monday. Just shorts, behind the scenes, snippets, shots of gear, reposts, and things like that. So definitely tune in and yeah, get involved, man. Let's keep this going.
Absolutely. I feel like this is, I don't know, it's a necessary uptick in positive energy, and it's also like a great way to maybe, because like we have people from all over the country jumping in that chat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Obvious, you know what I mean? Like people who just want to have genuine conversation. But another thing that we're going to be trying on Thursday is that Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter,
Twitter. Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Twitter.
my bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Wednesday.
actually, we
Twitter.
might have to push that back a day. I have an anniversary. Unless we do it early. If we do it early, I could totally do it.
It's early. It's early for sure.
Okay, bet. We're
But yeah,
gonna be
Twitter,
doing
Twitter chat.
Clubhouse type of chat
I
right on
forgot what it's
Twitter.
called. It's called like Twitter groups or something like that. Group chat on Twitter. So that's gonna be a new experience. We'll try that out and kind of see how it goes. And so,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
follow us on Twitter.
Definitely, man. With that being said, we're getting ready to get up out of here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you. Actually, yeah, we're gonna send you to
Send them
Boy
off.
Genius, man.
Send them off with some vibes. Oh yeah, Boy Genius is on. That's what's up.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna send
What's
him
up?
over to Boy Genius right now.
The
Uh,
dude.
absolutely. Um, ooh, hold up, wait a minute. Oh, okay, cause I spelled bio genius. Bless my heart, man. No, it's not my. You know what I mean? No, it's not my
First day.
brain.
First day on Twitch.
For sure, for sure. But with that being said, we are gonna get out of here. Again, we'll be back here starting at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard, going to the tens. Um, make sure to come lock in with us. Leave questions. Everything, man. With that being said, we are out. Love you dearly. Y'all have a great rest of the night. Watch behind your ears and all that jazz.